Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today we're going to explain the intense thriller movie called I That Saw the Devil. Be sure to watch the video until the end and don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's dive into the movie. The police caught the perverted murderer but didn't take him to the station. Instead, they broke his arm with a stomp, shoved a tracker down his throat with a carton of milk, and let him go with a lot of cash for medical bills. The cop wasn't letting him off. He wanted to track and torture him for killing and dismembering his wife on a snowy night. His wife, Xiao Mei, was stranded when her car broke down. A man named Lao Deng offered help with ulterior motives, but Xiao Mei, sensing danger, politely declined and returned to her car. Xiao Mei watched Lao Deng linger, feeling uneasy. Just as she was about to turn on the lights, Lao Deng smashed her car window with a hammer. Terrified, Xiao Mei tried to escape, but the car door was blocked by a tree. Lao Deng entered the car and brutally attacked her with the hammer. She had no chance to fight back and was soon unconscious. Lao Deng then took her to the slaughterhouse, tied her to a post, and prepared to dismember her. Xiao Mei, realizing her fate, pleaded for her life, hoping to be spared because she was pregnant. Xiao Mei wanted to live for her unborn child, but Lao Deng coldly threw her body off a bridge. The next day, a boy found a human ear in a black bag and called the police. Hundreds of officers searched for Xiao Mei's body because she was the daughter of a former police chief and the wife of a renowned captain, Xiao Bai. After a night of searching, they found her dismembered body in 18 pieces. Xiao Bai, devastated, vowed revenge, knowing Korea's laws wouldn't give the murderer the death penalty. He identified 4 suspects through private investigation. All suspects had committed similar crimes but were released due to lack of evidence. With a crucial lead, Xiao Bai began his revenge alone. He first attacked a suspect at home, tied him to a chair, and interrogated him about a car. Though the man wasn't Xiao Mei's killer, he was guilty of another crime, so Xiao Bai destroyed his tools. He then followed a second suspect, who seemed to have reformed, but Xiao Bai rammed him with his car, suspecting he might be the killer. Xiao Bai then beat the man, but he wasn't the killer, as he had an alibi. With only 2 photos left on the wall, Xiao Bai worried about the remaining suspects. What should he do? Fortunately, Xiao Bai soon found the third suspect's empty house. Inside, he discovered a locked cabinet filled with women's underwear, confirming the suspect's perversion. As Xiao Bai explored, he noticed a strong smell of blood and found a large slaughterhouse. A shining object caught his eye. It was his wife's ring, engraved with her name. Xiao Bai was certain Lao Deng was the killer. Overcome with grief, he vowed to make Lao Deng suffer. He hid nearby, waiting for Lao Deng to return, unaware of his impending doom. Lao Deng, oblivious to his fate, had just kidnapped a high schooler and thrown her into a pit. Xiao Bai boldly entered, and Lao Deng grabbed a sickle for defense. Seeing Xiao Bai's frail frame, he underestimated him, but Xiao Bai, fueled by rage, quickly overpowered him, pinning the sickle to his throat and beating him severely. Despite the beating, Xiao Bai's anger wasn't satisfied. He hesitated to kill Lao Deng, recalling his wife's fate, and decided it was too easy a death. Instead, he shoved a tracker into Lao Deng's stomach, planning a cat-and-mouse game. This seemingly clever move became Xiaobai's biggest regret. When Lao Deng awoke, he found himself alive with a bag of money. Confused by Xiaobai's actions, he decided to use the money to treat his broken arm. At a clinic, he was attracted to a pretty nurse and followed her into a storeroom, unaware that Xiaobai was monitoring him. The unrepentant pervert was about to face more trouble. Just as Lao Deng was about to succeed, Xiaobai burst in with a fire extinguisher. He beat Lao Deng, proving a dog can't change its habits. Even with a broken arm, Lao Deng was still a threat. Xiaobai decided to try breaking his leg, stabbing a knife into his heel and severing the tendon. Lao Deng, in agony, lost all resistance. Afterward, Xiaobai bandaged his wounds and dumped him in the wilderness. Lao Deng, enduring the pain, got into his car, drinking heavily and cursing. "You think you can take me on? You think you can take me on? You bastard. You think you can take me on?" Lao Deng then went to his friend Fatty, hoping to team up against. Xiaobai, Fatty, also a murderer, enjoyed eating his victims. After hearing Lao Deng's story, he mocked Xiaobai, infuriating him. To entertain Lao Deng, Fatty brought out a woman, the landlord, whom he had imprisoned for asking for rent. Planning to dispose of her, Fatty was unaware Xiaobai was nearby. As Fatty prepared to kill, the microwave inexplicably beeped, distracting him. Unaware of the timer, Fatty continued his grim task, but found that the person had long disappeared without a trace. Little Bai looked at this pervert with eyes full of hatred. He snatched the dagger from the fat man and stabbed it fiercely. Then he used a dog chain to tightly control him. Just as he was about to act, Old Deng suddenly appeared, picked up a shotgun, and fired. Fortunately, Little Bai reacted quickly and turned to escape. Since the opponent had a weapon, he temporarily avoided direct confrontation and ran to the second floor. Old Deng, holding the shotgun, slowly walked up, and Little Bai was unsure of what to do. Quickly, he took out a box of fish hooks from his pocket and scattered them on the ground. Old Deng didn't notice and stepped on them. Hearing the scream, Little Bai immediately ran to him and then picked up a stick, hitting Old Deng hard until he completely passed out. Then he took Old Deng to the hospital and thoughtfully arranged for an IV drip. An assistant asked Little Bai if the tracker was working well. Little Bai signaled not to steat until they confirmed Old Deng was still asleep, and they relaxed, but what they didn't know was that Old Deng had already woken up. He realized why Little Bai always located him. There was a tracker in his stomach. Then, Old Deng intended to retaliate. After their cat-and-mouse game, Little Bai tossed him into a tunnel. Old Deng, aware that Little Bai was listening, mockingly said, "You can hear me, right? This is fascinating. I've never seen anything like it. Let me guess, are you Xiao Mei's husband from Yanqi Cave?" As soon as Little Bai heard this, he realized something was wrong and quickly ran towards Old Deng. But Old Deng threw out a harsh remark, "If you don't kill me sooner, you'll really regret it." As he spoke, he walked to the pharmacy, saw some laxatives, and stuffed them into his pocket. Little Bai was stunned upon hearing this. It was clear he didn't know about his wife's pregnancy. Furious, Little Bai drove off to find him for revenge. By then, Old Deng had taken many laxatives and was in the bathroom. He retrieved the tracker, knocked out a passerby, and stuffed the tracker in their mouth. When Little Bai found him, Old Deng had vanished, leaving just the unconscious passerby in the bathroom. It seemed Old Deng had removed the tracker. Just then, Little Bai received a call from his subordinate, saying that Old Deng had just reported to the police and was preparing to surrender, but he had one thing to do before surrendering. Yanqi Cave was the location. Isn't that the father-in-law's house? He panicked and called home quickly, but Old Deng had already acted by then. The father-in-law lay dying in blood. He grabbed a dumbbell and smashed it down repeatedly. As he prepared to strike, He heard a door open outside. It was Xiao Mei's sister. She hid quickly and tackled her when she wasn't looking. When Little Bai arrived, he saw only police tape. The sheriff punched her in the face, asking why she had done such a thing, harming so many lives. Little Bai silently walked into the room and saw the severely injured father-in-law on the ground. Tears welled up in her eyes. She was angry at the killer but couldn't forgive herself. Who knew old Deng arrogantly made a phone call, telling Little Bai that her sister had been tortured to death by him and the body was in the nearby alley. Little Bai went mad, speeding all the way to catch old Deng before he could surrender. Before he could surrender, he was covered in blood as he got out of the car, raising his hands to surrender. Seeing this, Little Bai drove up and kidnapped him in front of the police, determined to make this scum suffer a miserable death. Little Bai took old Deng back to the slaughterhouse, tied him in front of the gate, and then took an awl and stabbed it straight into his mouth. Old Deng was truly scared. He desperately begged for mercy, and listening to his repentance, Little Bai felt disgusted. He then set a trap, putting one end of the rope in old Deng's mouth and tying the other to the door. If anyone opened the door or let go of the rope in his mouth, his head would be split. After finishing all this, Little Bai placed a listening device next to old Deng and then calmly left with headphones on. He wanted to hear the sound of a head falling with his own ears. Old Deng used all his strength to bite the rope, but he didn't expect his parents to come at this time. Hearing the noise outside, he cursed, saying, "Don't open the door, whatever you do." But his father, not hearing him, pushed the door open forcefully. In the next moment, old Deng was beheaded. The parents who entered the room screamed in despair at the sight. Little Bai was burdened with sorrow and cried instead of feeling happy. His negligence led to many lost lives. Guilt, reluctance, and helplessness surged in his heart as the movie ended with his cries.